This video illustrates adding more string, literal, and variable objects to a program. We originally had an example where we showed adding a first and last name as a string literal using both string literals and variables. Now we're going to add the address of the person with the first name, their cell phone number, and then the program will print the first and last name, print the address, as well as print the cell phone number. The following flowchart visualizes the additions. We start off with the oval shape where we start to begin, and between the connecting lines you see the arrow going down below. It says we're going to enter the first and last name, enter the current address, enter the current phone number. So there are three parallelograms or rhombus that are showing or illustrating that we're doing an input. And as you can see, I have added a comment to show input operations. It's always a good idea to add comments or notes inside of your design as well as your program. And next, this program cannot continue vertically, so we use a small circle called the on-page connector with an identifier to indicate this is an on-page connection, and I use the letter A. And next we have the on-page connection to show that we have started. We're continuing with this flow diagram on the same page using the small connector with the identifier that was used at the bottom of the page. We use it at the top of the page. And we have a comment that says output operations. There are three parallelograms to indicate that we're going to tell the program to display the first and last name on one line, display the current address on another line, display the current cell phone number, and then we end using the oval shape symbol. Just before you end, always add a comment to say end main program module. So this is what the flow diagram looks like. If we choose to use the pseudocode, it would be very similar, although pseudocode with just plain text, but we do use some starting words and stopping words like begin, end, or start, stop, and then we indent anything that the program is going to be doing. We indent to show that that marks the beginning of the program and the end. Ask the user to enter the first and last name, ask the user to enter the current address, ask the user to enter their cell phone number, print the first and last name, print address, print cell phone. Now let's look at the actual Python code. You may go to your start menu, whether it be 10 or 11, although 11 is going to be sunset in October, so more than likely be your 11. Or if you are on an Apple computer, you want to make sure you get to your Python. Now when you do go into Python, please choose the latest version and then go into idle. Click on this option, not this particular option or these other options, which indicates the actual program modules. Don't use that. Use idle. When you use idle, this screen will show up. Now your screen may show up by default as a white background. I changed my background to black because it's easier on my eyes. However, the way you're knowing you're in that idle, let me just bring this down a little bit. It'll say idle shell 3.13.7, and then following that is a menu: file, edit, shell, debug, options, window, help. The latest version will show up on the window, 3.13.7. Currently that's what it is, but by the time you matriculate throughout the semester, it's going to change. Usually it changes every couple of months or so, the actual updates in this open source code. The prompt for Python will show up with the three little prompts. You'll see that. Now, you're in the actual shell. You're not in the environment where you can type more than one line at a time, where the computer will compile it as one entity. Currently, this environment will only allow you to type in one line of code at a time, and then it executes it. Where you want to go is in the actual editor environment. So to do that, you're going to choose File, New File, and we can actually close out this window, open this window in Python. Now, if you like the white environment, go to the option menu, choose Configure Idle option. Next, choose Highlights. Right now, the menu is set up as dark. You can choose Classic, and it'll turn white if you like that environment. This is bad on my eyes, so I choose Options, Configure Idle, go back to Highlights, and then I choose the dark background. One of the disadvantages to using idle is that it does not have a way to statically keep line numbers on the screen. Every time you go into the editor, you have to tell the computer to go to Options and then choose Show Line Numbers. Then the line numbers show up, which is an indication that you are in the editor, the integrated development environment. I'm going to press the key one time, and then we can start adding the code. Now, we will be adding comments. To add one line of comment at a time, you use the hashtag, and I'm going to say input operations. Next, I'm going to say print, enter your first and last name, and I'm going to define a variable called name. I could call it first name. It doesn't matter what I call this, as long as your variable names use the camel rule. We use the camel rule for using variable names, and we'll talk about that momentarily. Name is equal to input, open close paren. I've deliberately separated out the print and the variable just because we're talking about string littles and I want it to be distinguished. And then the variable, we use input to indicate that the user is going to enter data from the keyboard. So anytime you see the input function, it means that the user is going to be prompted or commanded to enter a value via the keyboard. And we will continue with the remaining input statements. Next, we'll indicate the next section is output. You are required to add comments for every major task that is going on in the program. And sometimes it's necessary to indicate a specific task per line. Okay, so we've added, I went back and added that blank line just to display a line to separate the input from the output on the monitor. And we have we're displaying we don't need this one. This is an extra one here. We'll just get rid of that. And this line here, because I added it twice in my illustration. Okay, and so this is our output, very similar to what we did before. We use the f-string my name and use a center function. Now we're going to use the current address, center it, current cell phone number, center. And then at the very end, just add a comment to say in main program module. Let's add some remarks, some required remarks at the very beginning of the program. You're going to add these three titles: programmer, that's your name, your first and last name. I tabbed over, so we'll say first and last name. And I just pressed the tab key twice over here on the keyboard. And we're going to add program name. And we'll just call this sample program number 1. We're going to say date written, and whatever date you wrote that, it'll be your current date in month, day, year format. And finally, we're going to add purpose. Very important. Don't take shortcuts. You will get points taken off if you do. Okay, we will continue in the next video. We will run the program and provide further instructions on how to create your very first program.